Hello, everyone. Welcome to Global Morning. As here on Global Television, and my colleague, who this morning looks so colorful and dashing, is here to add value as always.
Good morning,
Good morning, Ramsey.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to use the word blushing, but then that introduction, that's massive. You look handsome too, of course, as a matter of fact,
and I appreciate that compliment.
Yes, as always, anyway. So a lot of people don't be surprised because it's a part of you. All right, a very beautiful morning to everyone out there, and it's so good that we have you joined us today on Global Morning. As usual, we're ready to take you through some very important and vital moments for the next 3 hours running. Many thanks for joining us. My name is Ramsey Enoch.
All right, sir. What more can we say? As always, this is one platform on which we get to unpack several issues, not just of interest, but of national importance. One of the challenges Nigerians have had the last, 2 years and counting, basically has been one that borders on economic hardship, again on accounts of the removal of fuel subsidy. But then we see how that's, of course, they say when the price of petrol sneezes in Nigeria, everything else catches cold, right? We saw how that action in itself just drove the cost of transportation right through the roof. And you can't talk about price of food and other essentials and not acknowledge how pivotal the issue of transportation is. But now the president has directed a committee of the Federal Executive Council to say, look, let's quickly, as quickly as possible, identify the underlying factors driving the cost of transportation so we can ease issues around food. Because, Ramsey, we've said here time and again that for a country to be confident enough to say that, look, we're making progress economically, you must have largely been able to win the war, so to speak, against food. And that's why you realize that last 2 years accounting, we've had several conversations around food security and things like that. In fact, there has been several rounds, at least 2-3 instances of state of emergency being declared on food security in this country. And who knows, maybe by way of trying to drive that very initiative to a logical conclusion, the president is now saying that we need to go a step further by ensuring that we address the challenges of transportation as it has to do with bringing food from the hinterlands or the rural areas into the cities so that Nigerians can, to a large extent, heave a sigh of relief.
I think for me, that's a very good one because it's one thing to identify a problem, then you start profiling solution. And that's to say the president is feeling what Nigerians are going through. He is trying to understand. He's understanding, and he has an understanding of what Nigerians are going through because as it is, just yesterday I was speaking with the youth on my program, and what he was hammering on is majority of the vices that we have among youths is as a result of stomach infrastructure. When you don't feed fine, a hungry man is an angry man. And when you are angry, it translates into so many other things that you tend to remember, that, harm has been done before you even know what's happening, because at that point you were angry, which was actually brought about by hunger. And so I think that's a welcome development. We don't just little, maybe 40-30% of famines happen at the urban areas. The majority of the famine happen at the hinterland.
That's right.
All right. And how do we get this product, this foodstuff, moved from that location to the urban area, to the cities where a lot of people are migrating to these days? Take, for instance, the FCT, Lagos, and not even the major cities anymore. Everyone wants to live the hinterland as it is right now, secondary school students, as they are getting out of secondary school, before they even get into the university, the first plan is get to the city, acclimatize to things, socialize, and before you forge ahead with whatever that it's happening. And by the virtue of that mindset,
right,
the city is crowded. We have a lot of people in the city, and majority of the farm work happen, the agricultural activities happen at the hinterland. See, there are some places, if not because of insecurity recently, if you know the number of trucks that move from Benue State to Lagos to Port Harcourt, the one that moved from Borno, the one that moved from Maiduguri, where, in fact, I was speaking with my boss a few days ago, and we're talking about I call the name of a rice that is produced in the north, which is even better than the so-called foreign rice, and we're talking about it, and I was surprised that this rice is no more common the way it used to be. Because of insecurity. And then even if you have the opportunity to cultivate this rice, you can't move it down because of the cost of transportation, courtesy of subsidy remover. So all of this put together, if the president can tackle that, it's going to go a long way, handle the issue of hunger in the land, because as it is right now, a lot of Nigerians are not thinking straight because of hunger. And you know how it is. See, it is a situation that you can do barely nothing about until it's been given attention. If you're hungry, no matter what you do, you cannot be at your best until that situation is being arrested. So it's a good move in the right direction. But one thing is, we need action and not just the words. The instruction has been given. The committee have been set up who is there to monitor and supervise the outcome of this committee, who is there to implement, because it is a process, it is a step-by-step process. Well, a committee has been set up. What do we have to do after the outcome of the
What's the timeline?
The timeline. We have a timeline, and all of that, because my pastor will always say, whatever that does not have a timeline has no capacity to come to fulfillment.
That's right.
And so the timeline, do we have a timeline, for this thing? So it's a good move, but then there are some things that need to be put in place to hasten up the process, because the hunger is real.
As this, what they say, what is in your belly controls what's in your head. But that's all about food, quite frankly. We're taking a quick break. When we return, the conversations continue. All right, one of the issues in the news today is the early campaign concern. Of course, in Nigeria, every time it's inching close to an election cycle, especially the general election, we see politicians doing what they know to do best, just creating narratives and advancing those narratives, sometimes far beyond the ambits of the law. But now INEC is saying, look, we can't continue to tolerate this sort of anomaly, this aberration, this infraction, all right, this contravention of the law. But the question is, did you have to come this far? Did you have to have committed these infractions this long for us to suddenly wake up and say, well, enough is enough? maybe that's a way of saying that better late than never. But beyond just having a dialogue, having a conversation around early campaigns, the question is, what is the sanction? What does the law recommend or stipulate as, if you like, punishments for those who are involved in early campaign? I mean, Ramsey, you and I have been seeing billboards and all sort of all kinds of signage across Abuja, all right, innuendos and so on and so forth. In some cases, very clear-cut campaign initiatives, all right, even though INEC has not officially lifted the ban on campaign. However, INEC says, look, let's call a spade. What is wrong, and we need to find a way to stop early campaign. But again, is it not the same way there's going to be? I mean, we've always had this toothless bulldog approach to all of these issues.
So the problem now is the people involved in this, should I say, there's a word I would love to use, but then the people involved in this act are people at the hem of affairs.
Right.
People who are supposed to show example to others. Because you can't blame a child when he's taken after the father, because he has the right to do so. And that's why a lot of times people will tell you, whatever you do in front of children, don't be surprised if you see them replicating it.
Right.
Now, let's get back to the issue of INEC. In fact, I was going through that story, and it happened that this observation is coming from someone who has been an INEC chairman. And of course, one of that publications said INEC does not have what it takes to stop this. Then where is the place of the rule?
And then you're also asking Ramsey, what does it take?
What does it take? What kind of society are we operating? Lawless society? No. I think what we know is that all these things, there are rules to the game. There is when to start campaign, there is when to stop campaign. All right? It is something that is inscribed, something that is there. Why go against this? I think there was a time the president said people should stop campaigning for him. There was a time, I think in one of the publications, we read that when he said, well, people should stop campaigning because some of these people are bootleggers. People who sing praise people because of what they want to get. You see, these signposts, these billboards that you're seeing in some of these places, the people whose pictures you're seeing there may not even know who did those things. And that's why you see courtesy of this organization and all of that. Groups. Because of what they want to get. We just talked about stomach infrastructure. Everyone is strategizing on what they can do, at least to get something. Peanut, to get something that they can feed on. So majority of these billboards and these campaigns that we are having right now is coming from groups majorly. But then you have the right, because at the end of the day, it's your picture that is there. It's you they are projecting. So you have the right to say, please bring that thing down now. I don't want to get into trouble.
Right.
I don't want to be a lawbreaker. I want to set a good example to others. So many things are involved. But for INEC to just fold their arms and be watching, for the people in authority, people who actually know what to do in situations like that. We've seen we've heard of where people are being fined for late campaign.
Right.
Because they will tell you, campaign, in fact, it will be everywhere. They will be announcing it. INEC will be shouting it everywhere. Campaign stops at so time. Campaign starts at so time.
Usually it's 48 hours to election.
48 hours to election. So if you have all of this, then there should be implications for early campaign. Okay, and what to be done. So I think I don't know what's happening. To be real, to be sincere, because we can't keep operating like this. it's not a good example, and it doesn't put Nigeria in a good light. A lot of people are watching what we do in Nigeria, whether we like it or not. Giants of Africa, there are a lot of people. Remember this little digression. The match that was just played between the Super Eagles and South Africa.
The Bafana
of South Africa. Do you know that some of the fans that came all the way, all right, some of the fans, what they really wanted to do, one of them was asked and they said, well, it's not all about the point, but it's all about making a name for South Africa, and that they have come to win Nigeria because it's a big deal winning Nigeria. This is a supporter, South African supporter, saying this. That's to tell you that a lot of people are watching what we do in Africa. There's a way people look at us, so we don't need to mess all of this up with our behavior and the way we handle issues in this country. INEC is not a small body. INEC is not a small body.
That's instructive.
Yes, it's not a small body. So whatever INEC do, a lot of people watch what they do. So it's good to do the right thing, because there are some statements you make and you can't take it back. All right, but the right thing must be done, and it's very important.
Well, they say a word is enough for the wise. We also want to do the right thing by you on the program this morning, and that means we're taking a break now. When we return, we'll be looking at headlines from our national newspapers for you. Please do stay with us.
Many thanks for staying with us. It is now time for us to take you through the national dailies. What are the papers saying? What are the major headlines today? Now we'll begin with the Daily Trust newspaper, where we have this big story, which is where I'll start from. EFCC quizzes Melekari over $7.2 billion refinery fund. All right. Now, this one says a gunman killed 3 police officers, 5 soldiers in Kogi, Zamfara. Tinubu directs FEC committee to crash food prices. Very important. Federal government to arraign 2 captured Ansaru commanders today. 4 children, 8 others die in tanker accident. And this one says early campaign threatens democracy, coming from INEC. All right. And of course, finally from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, let's look at this story which says Enugu wins 100 million naira renewed hope model Green State Award. And that's the size of the headlines from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, we have another paper for you at this point, moving away now from the Daily Trust newspaper. So we take you straight to the Vanguard. On the Vanguard now, top just above the nameplate, it says blackouts, businesses suffer as national grid collapses again. Those details are on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper for you. So question is, what more do we have here? Three more headlines above the nameplates, top left corner. FG not introducing new tax. Oyedele, NCAA orders airlines to blacklist unruly passengers. Netanyahu must be brought to justice, Qatari Prime Minister vows. 2024 budgets, 80% implemented. Edu. So what's left with the other, the balance of 20%, and how are we doing that in the middle of the 2025 budgetary year? Well, we are told that Nigeria is a peculiar place. At this point, we're actually running two budgetary cycles per pursuit. All right, so let's, I mean, as crazy as that sounds, let's look at the star headline for you. 2027, micro-zoning stirs tension in PDP. Two riders with their story. Opposition's prospects brighten as INEC recognizes David Mark-led ADC. Jonathan Kwankwaso deepen negotiations. What is that about? Well, go find details on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper today. And let's bring you more headlines this morning. A bit of sports now. Says 2026 World Cup qualifier. Blame NFF Chile for Eagles' woes. That's Kojo there talking. Then here it says EFCC grills ex-NNPCL boss Kerry over $7.2 billion refinery fund. We understand it was actually something like a voluntary rendition. That means that he turned himself in voluntarily. Senate must allow Natasha back, says ADC, ex-Kaduna AG Jacobs. Enugu wins 100 million Naira Model Green States Award. One rider with that headline, as First Lady Oluremi Tinubu declares states the cleanest. I used to be Cross River back in the day, but Enugu now is getting ahead of Cross River and other states. Well, I read up details from today's issue of the Vanguard newspaper as we flip it over now to the Nation newspaper.
On the Nation's newspaper this morning, we have some headlines here. Dangote Cement pays 3.3 trillion naira dividends in 15 years. And the picture of Dangote is right there. Our terror attack suspects trial begins October 19. Judge rejects bail request. First Lady gives 100 million naira award to Enugu as Green Nigeria champion. I will break second-term jinx in Ekiti, Oyebanji declares. That's coming from Oyebanji. Then this one says, early campaign hitting up polity, says Atahiru Jega. Early campaign hitting up polity, according to Atahiru Jega, the one-time INEC chairman. Ex-GCEO, I have nothing to hide. All right. Well, that's still coming from Kerry. As a matter of fact, the last story here says that Tinubu Macron agree on stronger partnership. And those are the headlines from the Nation's newspaper this morning.
All right, thank you, Ramsey. Away from the Nation newspaper now, we move to, excuse me, the Daily Times newspaper. Then here, the first one, adjacent, well, just above the nameplate with a picture of Professor Atahiru Jega, former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. 2027, that's your kicker, criminalize premature campaign with stiff penalties. That's his recommendation. All right, and he spoke about this yesterday. NASC Miles building new houses for 469 federal lawmakers. That's National Assembly Service Commission. All right. Reps meet finance budget ministers over 2024-2025 budget implementation. Federal government targets seamless digital payments, financial inclusion for all Nigerians. Court denies 5 Al-Shabaab terrorists bail. Senate's treatment of Natasha may hinder women's political participation. That's according to the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Then lastly, River Park Estate. FCTA demolishes illegal structures, reclaims undeveloped plots. Our correspondent, Kabir Hassan, did bring us these reports in the course of our news broadcast yesterday, as well as on the AM news today. Well, those are your headlines from the Daily Times newspaper. And the next part of call will be the Guardian newspaper, and Ramsey has those headlines for us.
All right, thank you. Let's get to the Guardian newspaper and see the headlines that we have. Just directly below the nameplate, grid collapse may worsen as Genco lose 66.26 billion naira, 1,866 megawatts to load rejection. All right, we talked about this. Yes, was it not just yesterday or the day before yesterday? We were talking about the fact that we've not heard about grid collapse in a while.
Right.
Not knowing that one was just coming around.
And now, with the benefit of hindsight, you're thinking maybe we shouldn't have had that conversation.
That conversation in the first place.
Right.
But all the same, I think it's getting to that time when we need to start hiding our faces. Not us, but people who are in the power sector, because this can't keep happening when countries are celebrating years of uninterrupted power supply. We have what it takes.
We do.
All right. Details of that story you can find on page 3. Nigeria records 15,000 suicide cases yearly. All right, probably that's the reason the law is coming up now. Tinubu orders FEC committee to crash food price. The picture of the president is right there. Okay. Now the big story. Federal government boasts 80% 2024 budget execution. Cites procurement hurdles for 2025. Obasanjo calls for lasting partnership as IATF closes with $48.3 billion deal. INEC legitimizes ADC leadership, raises alarm over premature campaigns. All right, let's see what this means to ADC. As a matter of fact, let's see what this means to them. Now, I think those are the headlines from the Guardian newspaper this morning.
All right, thank you, Ramsey. Let's move to the Tribune now. The Nigerian Tribune here about the nameplate says 2027. INEC tells politicians to stop early campaigns. Says aspirants' action violates the Electoral Act, seeks amendment to enforce sanctions. Well, we hope that happens real soon. Then the Star headline tells us ADC, INEC finally recognizes Mark Aregbesola others as party executives. A party to Senate, Natasha's suspension has lapsed. Further obstruction abusive. Again, national grid collapses. Well, it's interesting. Okay. Dangote Cement pays over 3.3 trillion naira in dividends to shareholders in 5 years. Aviation, NAMA raises alarm over threats of climate change. And the writer says NAMET begs for increased support. There's something about health here. Energy drinks may raise suicide risk. That's according to a study, which details you can find on page 14 of the Nigerian Tribune, today's issue. Right, we're not done just yet. Reps blame delay in 2025 budget implementation on procurement process. Uncertain over presentation of 2026 budget estimates, as 2024 budget implementation stands at 80% despite extension till December 25. That's according to Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun. NORGET seeks Tinubu's intervention over Osun local government's allocation seizure. That's Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees now seeking President Tinubu's intervention as it has to do with Osun State local government's allocation seizure. One writer with that headline there calls on FCT Minister, Chief of Army Staff, to investigate demolition of National Secretariat. All right? Those are your headlines from the Nigerian Tribune, everyone, this morning. Let's go to the New Telegraph now and see what headlines we have for you right there.
On the New Telegraph, we have some very important headlines there. This one says, just above the nameplate, it says DMO projects 2029 for full repayment of $500 million Federal Government of Nigeria bond series. FG moves to curb digital payments glitches, targets quality financial service. Details you can find on page 5. Now, this one says, with a picture of the president right here, local government workers to Tinubu enforce Supreme Court ruling on council autonomy. I don't know why. I know if anyone ever told me this was going to linger for this long.
Right.
I wouldn't believe it. Because it was even the federal government that we are pushing for this. Is it that the governors are now becoming more powerful than the federal government?
And indeed, by extension, the Supreme Court verdict.
The Supreme Court verdict, very important. I don't know how people look at the court in this country now, because Supreme Court ruling, before now, if any case gets to the Supreme Court, whatever the Supreme Court says, the implementation begins from that very day of the judgment. But I don't know what has happened to our judicial system in Nigeria for the Supreme Court to pass a judgment and it's not implemented until today. Calls for a lot of questioning. Nigerians are surprised about that. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed and see if anything will happen. This one says extension of 2024-2025 budget worries reps. One writer to that story, 2024 budget 80% implemented, says Edum, and you'll have the picture right there. NCAA bans pilot from flying unruly passengers. How do you get to know an unruly passenger from sight?
But they are fruits.
Do they really exhibit or after exhibition?
Of course, that will now be determined by how they conduct themselves, how they behave all through the process. Incidentally, I've never really encountered an unruly passenger during flights, even though we have seen cases, we have seen videos flying all over the place about all of these things. But it doesn't change the fact that it's not common. It's very common. But sometimes we also have flight crews that are very knowledgeable, have the maturity, understand the rules of engagement, standard operating procedure to be able to handle all of these things. You see, they say sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. It's one thing for us to say, let's ensure that we bring, those if you like, flight attendants and crew members who are unethical to book. Let's bring them to justice. But what happens to unruly passengers? Passengers who just want to have it their way. Passengers who act like they own the whole place. Passengers who don't have regards for flight crew, don't have regard for other passengers, who don't even have respect for themselves and things like that. You see, we must have a system that levels everybody. Yes, we must have a system where we can say that the rules don't have regards for individuals. Instead, it levels everybody. In other words, everybody must be subjected to the same rules.
That's very important. I think you've said it all. That's what we need in this country right now, because we're not operating animal farm.
Of course.
You know. All right. Now, to the next story. Ellison overtakes Musk as world's richest man. Details on page 4. 2027, now the big story. Why we can't sanction early campaign offenders, INEC. If you want to know why, pick a copy of the New Telegraph. Just one writer to that story confirms Mark Arigbe-Shola as ADC national leaders. Nigeria thrown into darkness as national grid collapses. To write the stood-out story, learn from Abapa. Southeast consumers tell federal government. Solar, Nigeria forges alliance with sustainable clean energy future. Very important. I think we're in the 21st century and in a digital age where everyone is embracing solar now. There are even some parts of Nigeria where they have uninterrupted power supply because they use solar. We have estates in Nigeria where it's being powered by the solar system. So if we can make this available to homes in Nigeria, to offices, to business owners, I think it will reduce the pressure on the electricity. Okay, so this is an alternative now. So I think the federal government should think of what to do to encourage it. Maybe if we can fabricate in Nigeria or import, whichever way. But then the issue of power needs to be addressed, because it has caused more harm than good for business owners, for everyone, for homes in Nigeria. Yeah, so I think solar is a good option. Now, Oyedele's subsidy savings not enough for Nigeria's 200 million person economy. All right. Page 2 and 4 is where you get that story. And everyone is talking about crash food prices. Tinubu orders a fake committee. This one says Mele Kyari submits SEF to EFCC. That's interesting. Alleged terrorism. Court denies or attacks suspects bail. Fixes trial dates. One writer to that story, federal government to arraign 2 Ansaro commanders today. And of course, those are the headlines from the New Telegraph.
All right. Let's go bring you a few more headlines now beyond the New Telegraph, everyone. And at this point, we're turning to the Punch newspaper for you, where we have several stories as well. All right, here on the Punch newspaper, we'll begin with the ones above the nameplate. FG rakes in 600 billion naira value-added tax from Facebook, others. We're going somewhere with this tax drive, really. Reps grill Edu Bagudu over 2024-2025 budgets delays. Yobe holds mass burial as bandits kill 84. Sometimes you just don't want to look at these headlines, let alone even touch their details with a 1,000-foot pole. But then what can you do? The Yobe State, for our viewers who may not be very familiar with Nigeria's geography, is somewhere in the northeastern part of our country. And that's one of the 3 states where Boko Haram has had, for want of better words, a few day overtime. You talk about Borno, you talk about Adamawa, you talk about Yobe. And now we're hearing that 84 people have been killed by bandits, and now the state is planning a mass burial for them.
I'm just thinking, for when we'll be tired of mass burial in Nigeria. It just happened Benue State, Plateau State, now Borno State. And this insecurity has lingered for too long in places like Borno State, where it got started from somehow. You know, this is it. I don't think these terrorists, whoever they are, these killers, I don't think they are really unknown gunmen, because we've heard a governor have come out to say, well, he, with his phone, he can do this magic.
That's Zamfara State Governor.
So,
Dauda Lawal.
Have you heard anything after that statement? No, I haven't heard.
The question is the DSS following that lead?
Is the DSS, is anything going on? If there are investigations going on for intelligence purpose, maybe for security reasons, and they don't want to divulge these informations, they should let Nigerians know that they are on top of the situation.
Right.
And of course, evidence is the end of argument. By the time Nigerians begin to see evidences, no one will argue the fact that interrogations are going on.
Right.
So I don't know for how long, but something is surprising to me, that the life of human beings in Nigeria is just like, I could remember those days, if you see a corpse as a child, you don't sleep for several days.
Right.
You don't sleep.
You could even be traumatized.
You could be traumatized. They don't even allow children go close to where there is a corpse. But today, you see a child sitting down, you see children, you see corpses littered everywhere. And human life is becoming like that of animals. It's not a good thing, you know, for a country to be known for. Even in countries, see, I'll keep saying this. Go to Palestine, the Israel-Palestinian war, the Russia-Ukraine war, the casualties that we're having. I've not heard where you see figures like 100 and something, 300, you know. This is a war.
These are countries that are, yes, I mean, they've entered into a full-blown war.
Full-blown war. But just someone will come from the blues and take down 100 lives, 50 lives, 20 lives.
And authorities look helpless.
Authorities look helpless. A country like Nigeria, where we have our soldiers dominating ECOMOG. We've helped countries in Africa. But what is happening to Nigeria? It's a big question. I don't know where the answer will come from anytime soon.
I think, yeah, like you said, evidence ends arguments. So hopefully that will happen real soon. But let's move on with headlines from the Punch newspaper, everyone, which happens to be the last paper, by the way, on the program today. I just sent the nameplate. It says Tinubu orders fresh push to crash feed prices. Star headline tells us 2027 police INEC move against early campaigns. Let's move things further down now. Tinubu, Macron have lunch amid France political tension. Our terror attack suspects lose bail bid. Police arrests OB of Lagos fuel installation. That's interesting. Right, EFCC quizzes ex-NNPC GMD Carey over refinery contracts. Well, we told you a while ago that the man had voluntarily turned himself into the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission just yesterday. That's what we'll leave it with the papers, everyone. Remember that all of these headlines that we bring to you are just as published by their respective publishers. Global Television or the team here on Global Money does not in any way make contributions or influence these headlines. After this break, we'll put our first conversation on the road for you. Please do stay with us. Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Many thanks for staying with us on Global Morning. Now we want to get into the first conversation. Well, we want to look at a topical issue today, and of course, we are looking at the issue of early campaign. We're looking at the implications of early campaign by politicians, and my guest is joining me via Zoom. He is, of course, a development consultant and a public affairs analyst, and he's also a columnist in the person of Jide Ojo. It's good to have you join us this morning. All right, let's get into the conversation. Now, early campaign. What do you think is actually prompting this early campaign, and is that the best way to go? Some persons are saying, why is INEC quiet? And INEC have said, well, our hands are tied. Are you surprised by that statement from INEC?
Well, I think what we need to put the issues in context. Are they really campaigning? Is it really a campaign? To what end are they campaigning? Are the dramatic personnel behind the outdoor billboards, electronic billboards that we see? Or is it a third-party influencers that are behind it? I think the answer is very obvious. Most of these outdoor billboards that we see are put up by third-party campaigners or support groups, and they are not recognized by the Constitution or the Electoral Act. In fact, I've been working on issues of campaign finance for over 20 years. And one of the sticky issues we've always raised is the third-party financing. In all the billboards that you see, you will hardly find you will see beneath it that this is done by a so support group or that support group. It may well be is the aspirant that is funding it, but they will attribute it to a support group. Now, it's 2 years to the next election. These people have spent so much resources on this outdoor advertising. Section 94 sub 1 of the Electoral Act 2022 says open campaigns shall begin 150 days to the next election. The next election date has not even been confirmed by INEC. The notice of election will be issued when it is 360 days to the time. So what they are doing is more like promotional flyers and jingles, trying to sell themselves and their activities. So, stricto sensu, it is not campaign. But, or you can say campaign in a subtle manner that is not recognized by the law. So, INEC in good conscience cannot, because let's get something clear. Many of the billboards I've seen are just pictures of possible aspirants, pictures of potential aspirants. Now, the law is not very strong on aspirants. The law is stronger on candidates. Now, INEC has not officially set the timeline and timetable for the next general election. Whatever they are doing is unknown to law. And like I said, what the people who are doing this are third-party financiers. Perhaps maybe those who have benefited from government of the day, maybe they are government contractors, those who have benefited one way or the other. you will find out that in many states, the incumbent, they will tell you, is one support group or committee of friends that have purchased the nomination form and expression of interest for that person. Now, the law is silent on who should buy the nomination form. So the whole issue is, it's not like straight-jacketed or straightforward. You may say INEC is quiet, but what do you expect INEC to do? Does INEC have the power to start pulling down the billboards of those potential, I still call it potential aspirants? Because the law is not strong on aspirants. The only law, the sanction is on candidates and political parties. If you go to the parties, they will say they are not aware. It is not them that put those billboards there. Then the aspirant, potential aspirant, will say, I'm not the one that endorsed this. Some friends just decided of their own to honor me. So in reality, what needs to be done is to get the advertising practitioners of Nigeria to tell them that their members should not take political campaign adverts in this season. That is another regulatory agency on its own, aside from INEC. The Advertising Registration Council of Nigeria, ACON, and I think there is another one. They are the ones that are supposed to tell their members that when it comes to political advertising, it is premature for them to accept such adverts. Because these are the agencies, it is agencies under this regulatory body that place those adverts. And they are the ones that should properly be advised by the regulatory body to go and pull down those adverts. It is not the responsibility of INEC. I dare say it is not.
All right. Let's talk about the issue of politicking and, of course, governance right now. A lot of politicking going on right now, and it's not doubt. Apart from direct campaigning, we've had a pocket of indirect campaigning, people declaring intentions and all of that, support groups throwing up their wings and all of that. Actions could be a distraction to governance. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, I'm trying to hear you.
Oh, okay. I was asking a question. I said, as a matter of fact, the people for whom this campaign, these billboards are being posted, they are aware of this. Is it okay? Is it within their own power to say, well, this organization, stop what you are doing? This could amount to campaigning for which it's not the time yet. So why did not do it?
Of course, I would expect them to do that. I will expect them to do that. INEC should write to those political parties whose aspirants are already putting up billboards. It is the party that they should write to tell their aspirants that they are jumping the gun. It is not yet time to put up political advertising. And then the aspirants will now instruct the agencies or the committee of friends or the support group to go and advise the agency to pull it down. That is the most appropriate way to do it. INEC cannot, by law, is not empowered by law to start pulling down political advertising. I know And let me shock you with this, Ramsey. In some states, when is the political season, if you are going to put up an advertisement, particularly billboards and the rest, you are expected to pay certain amount in millions to the coffers of the state government advertising regulatory agency. And some aspirants have complained that they do not have this financial war chest to be able to pay. So what I expect is that INEC should write to the parties whose aspirants have already, because they are not candidates yet. You can't call them candidates. They've not gone through the primaries. They've not emerged as the candidates. Their name is not on the INEC list for the next election. Because as I said earlier on, INEC still have to wait till 1 year to the next election before INEC have to wait till the next wait for the next 1 year before it will put out the timeline for the next election. If you are talking of Anambra now, nobody is querying the political advertising that you see all over the local government and the state capital of Anambra, because they have election in November. That 150 days to the election, you can put up any form of advertising or advertisement. But for general election, which is going to be most likely the 3rd Saturday in February of 2027, INEC has not officially announced the date, time, and activities that will lead to that. So what they are doing now is just sheer waste of resources. And INEC should now write to the parties whose aspirants have jumped the gun to advise their support groups to hold fire and to wait till when the whistle will be blown and it is 150 days to that election. Because all those who are, there could be 200 aspirants on the party platform. Only one candidate will emerge. If you recall, Ramsey, in the lead up to the 2023 general election, there were about 50 aspirants under APC. Those who purchased the form of APC were about 50. But how many of them? The only candidate that emerged was President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So there could be 1 million aspirants. That's why the law discountenanced them. That's why you don't even have them.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
right, we're still looking at the implications of early campaign. The reason why we're talking about this is because it is inimical to free and fair elections, according to Professor Attahiru Jega. And of course, we have a political and public affairs analyst, a columnist, joined us on the conversation in the person of Jide Ojo. All right, let's get back to the conversation. Jide, let's look at the angle of the former INEC chairman in the person of Professor Attahiru Jega, who have seen it all. He's the person who have said early campaign, whatever it is they are doing now, whether it is third party, whether it is second party, whether it is first party, it is inimical to what we call free and fair election. And remember, one of the goals of election in Nigeria, one of the things every Nigerian wants to achieve is a free and fair election. And now, someone who have seen it all in the person of Professor Attahiru Jega, a former INEC chairman, is saying this forms of campaign is inimical to free and fair election. What do you think about that?
Well, that is right. But you see, this is what I would call eye service. This is just eye service, and it's just sheer waste of resources. Because if you like have 2 million adverts out there, it's the day of election that counts most. All the billions that they are spending on political advertising at this time, 2 years to election, is just a nullity. It's the day of election that counts most for a candidate. And as I said, so many people can aspire. You can be 200 that will aspire under a party. Only one person will be sponsored by the party for that position. So why are you wasting your resources when you know that there is no election in sight? I agree with Professor Attahiru Jega that it's significant to our democracy, but I think it's just eye service by those who have benefited from the government, majorly government contractors, consultants, people who have gained one favor or the other, or who are seeking favor. It's either those who have gained or those who are seeking favor from government of the day, whether at the federal or state level. And the eye service they are doing is that they want to keep their own bread. Those contracts, those consultancies that they get from government, they want their own person to retain that position so that they will continue to get resources for government. But let me shock you, the moment that person who is just an aspirant at this point, if that person loses the primary of the party, you will find out that there will be no person at his campaign rally. Nobody. In fact, he will call those same people who are egging him on, who are saying we are behind you, and they will not pick. The phone will no longer ring. So I expect all those aspirants to tell their support groups that, look, I don't need you to promote me at this time. If you want to promote me, wait till when the official campaign period will start. Otherwise, all the expenditure you are incurring now is going to be a total waste. Those who are going to be smiling to the banks are the advertising agencies who have been given the contract to do those billboards and all of that. So it just amounts to waste of resources in my own view. But as I've said earlier on, what INEC needs to do is to officially write to those aspirants, the party under which those aspirants are seeking election, and tell those parties to tell those aspirants to instruct their support groups to tell the agencies that they have asked to put up those billboards and campaign materials to go and pull it down. Pull it down.
All right. Before I let you go, our time is almost up now. But before I let you go, INEC, we're talking about INEC. You know, INEC just legitimized ADC leadership, and some persons may want to rush to start some form of campaign right now because, you know, the ADC is coming with a full-fledged strength as an opposition. Now, what do you think of the legitimization of ADC leadership by INEC? Are you thinking it's going to happen anytime soon? And do you think these people might also start following the footprint of the people who are already doing this third-party campaign?
What INEC did yesterday for African Democratic ADC, African Democratic Congress, is just to acknowledge the new leadership that have emerged after the coalition of some political heavyweights. Don't forget, it's a coalition of individuals, not of political parties, as we had in 2013 when All Progressive Congress emerged from the ashes of ANPP, AG, ACN, CPC, and some faction of ABGA. What we are seeing with ADC is coalition or alignment of political heavyweight from across different party lines. And what INEC did was just to recognize the new leadership so that in the event of communication, they know who to communicate with, who to invite to meetings, who to share correspondence with. And it's an ongoing decision because I think the number of leadership that have so far been published are just 5 out of over 50 National Working Committee members. So I think subsequently more names are going to be published. But it is not yet Uhuru for ADC. From what I learned, there are a couple of litigations in court. But even if you want to discount the litigation, the other order will be they will have to, with the emergence of the new leadership now, it might be advisable for them to now hold congresses from the ward to local to state to zonal and to the national convention. They will have to hold those congresses because I'm not sure those who have newly come into the party will be comfortable to work with strange bedfellows who already have their people at those subnational levels. Because what has happened is that only a handful of individuals resigned as members of the NEC of ADC to pave way for people like David Mark, Aregbesola, and the rest to emerge. So they will still have to conduct those congresses and then the convention and then recruit new members. They may have to do membership recruitment exercise nationwide and then do the congress, and that will take much of their time and resources because they need to do all of that before INEC's official timetable of activities will start. Because once that official timetable starts 1 year to the next election, it will be a roller coaster of events. Then they will have to do party primaries, which has to be done 180 days to the next election. That's quite 180 days, 6 months. and then the campaign will be for 150 days, and then so it is in their best interest to swing into action. Now that they have had official recognition from INEC, let them start the process of conducting fresh congresses, and then the convention, as well as go ahead to do a lot of housekeeping that needed to be done. They may have to rent apartments as offices across the 774 local government areas, and some of their dormant state offices will have to be reactivated. All of this will cost huge resources. So it is not yet Uhuru for ADC, but suffice to say, the endorsement from INEC shows that they are on the right trajectory, and I commend them for that.
All right. Thank you very much, Jide Ojo, for joining us on the program this morning. Many thanks for making out time to be part of the program.
It's my pleasure. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
And you too. Thank you. All right, this is the size of the first conversation this morning. Well, whoever it is that is responsible for this campaign, whether third party, if it is against the law, then there's no need going ahead to do it. Well, ADC's leadership has just been legitimized by INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, so that they will not also start following the footprint of these people who have started this early campaign, even though they are like trying to form their structures still yet. Well, let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return. Agbomo Fuegbe will bring us the second conversation this morning. Stay with us.
Is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, let's get this conversation on the road for you now, everyone. The last couple of years, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, that is the NNPCL, has been on the news virtually every other day for one reason today or another reason tomorrow. Of course, a few months ago, the leadership of that organization, both at the board and management level, changed, courtesy of President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda to also ensure that the oil and gas sector is not left out in these, if you like, whole gamut of reforms being driven under his administration. However, with that change in leadership at the NNPCL came several controversies. Now, fast forward to just about 24 hours ago, when the immediate past Group Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Mele Kyari, turned himself into the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. We're now beginning to hear that the investigation borders on some $7.2 billion refinery fund. Of course, as expected, questions would have been asked about many findings that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has carried out the last few weeks, so who knows, maybe the last couple of months. But in all of this, the question is, how is it that the NNPCL has had to deal with so much of opaqueness, which is what many analysts and indeed citizens have been very concerned about, to the point that we had even heard that at a point for many months, many years I should say, the NNPCL's books had not been looked at, had not been looked into. As a matter of fact, for the most part, it was running in red, as they say in business. So help us find sense in all of this on the program today. I'm joined by a lawyer who doubles as the president of Yoruba Council Worldwide, Barrister Oladotu Hassan. He joins us via Zoom on the program today. Thank you so very much, Hassan, for taking our time, as always, to join us on the program.
Well, thank you. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be on your program. Thank you very much.
The last time you were here, our conversation was around this same issue, more or less. But we all now understand that it has evolved in between. Today, we know for a fact that Dr. Mele Kyari, the immediate past Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, has turned himself in to the EFCC. Of course, we knew that was going to happen some way, somehow, at some point. But talk to us, help our viewers to understand what this development is basically about.
Well, we have to acknowledge that what is going on to Mele Kyari is not witch hunting. It has nothing to do with politics. It's just a procedural check-ins and ensuring that the records of during his tenure as the Chief Group Managing Director of NNPC is investigated, especially when there are skirmishes, where there are issues of financial impropriety that was discovered from the turnaround maintenance spendings of 7.5 billion or whatever, and further other investigation that might equally come out of it, especially when his account has been frozen. So there are a lot of disclosures that we are yet to understand. But the good thing is that he has turned himself in. He's not placed on red alert or watch. Though he has been placed on watch list, I think that was one of the reasons why he came in. Because if not, it wouldn't have been that easy for him to come in. But due to the embarrassment he will incur if he needs to have traveled and he's been arrested at the point of exit of the country, either at the border, via airport or road. So I'm sure that's one of the issues he ran off, and he has turned himself in. That's good. The other aspect is the transparency of the investigation must be seen and clearly known to the whole world, so that it will not be interpreted to be witch hunting, so that real issues should be brought on the table. And proper facts should also be laid to ground, so that some people are quick to read meaning from ethnicity to politics to all other great issues that are affecting our political climes. But for real, we are all aware that cleanliness is next to godliness. But once there is a stench within the confines of the home, there is no way one can really have a sigh of relief. It will just be an oozing smell of corruption. And that is what NNPC have been going through for many years. Aside from the turnaround maintenance, the discovered by the present leadership, which I mentioned the other time by July, that there is an expenses of $500 million monthly that is being used for such expenses that are not known to the people. So there are many issues that need clarity. There are many fact-checking, not just Kyari alone, but the co-accompany, who are that, there must be a principal offender somewhere. Bele Kyari, that I am saying, I think is just a conduit of operation, but they are beneficiaries of whatever that is going on underneath his nose that is being investigated upon. So that EFCC should not just limit the investigation. Whoever that are benefited, let Mele Kyari also expose them so that we will know who are our enemies, so that Nigerians can have a better focus on who to challenge from the fake delivery of over 20 billion that Sanusi mentioned the last time that was paid on subsidy. Who are the beneficiaries of this money? Is NNPC just an organization that does not have any clarity of corporate governance, especially when it is now a private limited liability company and just having the leverage of government? So there's a whole lot that we need to understand so that Nigerians will not just be seeing this as another checkmate scenario that we are just to watch another movie. No, let this not just be another movie. Let this be a clear-cut stopping of the bleeding of the way Nigerians have been bleeding profusely through inordinate agendas, through corrupt practices, through embezzlement of the NNPC as an institution for over 20 years now. Nothing concrete for the benefit of Nigerians have come out of the Nazareth of NNPC. And it's high time the investigation ongoing now should sweep everyone caught along the way. That's just the way transparency and this investigation can be validated.
Of course, you are a lawyer and you have also followed cases of this nature and magnitude with regards to the EFCC over time. I'm very sure off the top of your head, you're probably thinking now, who knows? Most Nigerians are likely telling themselves, this is nothing more than the media trial kind of pattern that the EFCC has come to be known for the most part. Is that your sentiment, or you think this is a different kettle of fish altogether, where the EFCC probably has a body of overwhelming evidence against not just Mr. Kyari, but every other person who may be involved in this matter?
Kyari's investigation should not just be looked at from Kyari's investigation. We look at it from the angle of the Emefiele. I think there is a whole lot that link the NNPC and the CBN together when it comes to the huge corruption that have swept us. And that's where my fear lies. Is EFCC capable to withstand the tsunami of this investigation? Do they have the clarity that they are not going to hide some persons all in the name of shielding some and making some sacred cow? So, to me, this is my own fear. And just like every other Nigerian, that we want concrete evidence. From Emefiele, over 700 housing estate building was linked to him. He denied. Upon seizure of that estate, he came out and claimed ownership. So that means there is a whole lot that has been going on in this country. And there are a lot of nucleus of people moving around this that are conspirators. So to me, my challenge is not the fact that Kyari is going into a pot of soup that is part of those that prepare the ingredients that they are going to use in cooking in, because there is no way he can claim ignorance of the activities in NNPC, because before now, he have led several campaigns, even while he was the chief group managing director, for investigation of several billions that were done through the swap oil deal, through the opaque manner of money payment, through the opaque manner of how there is no accountability on the amount of oil that has been drilled and exported out of this country. So we have called for several investigations, but it seems that the present government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is awakened to that fact. And if you have mandated the new EFCC chairman to go all out to recover all looted funds, be the kind of scenario we had under the Buhari administration, that all looted funds that were recovered were now relooted. So it was just like a round cycle that we are just yet to really understand. Are we really progressing in terms of fighting corruption, or is this country even established to fight corruption only? Must we have corruption to fight? Can't we just have a saner society whereby these monies that were being maybe gotten from all these natural resources God has blessed us with, that has now becoming like a curse, can be used to deliver us from this yoke of poverty that have rated Nigeria the poverty capital of the world, and we are one of the blessed, even one of the most blessed nations, from agri to oil and gas to natural resources to tech. And at the end of the day, we have an army of povertarians that have just made this country so hellish. So to me, the recovered loot should be diverted to infrastructural development. Let us know that money recovered from Mele Kyari, let them put the name there. Money recovered from Mele Kyari used to build XYZ school. The money recovered from Emefiele used to build this, from Desiani, this, and any other politicians. But if they are to be counting, is the beautiful ones, are they already in the house? The people investigating, the EFCC investigating, their officers, are they clean enough? Is there no conversion? At least during the former EFCC chairman, what's his name? This young EFCC chairman,
Abdul Rashid
what
Bawa.
was discovered that he himself, yes, Abdul Rashid Bawa, what was discovered under him that he stole is even more than the entire investigation he conducted as EFCC chairman. And ditto every other EFCC chairman in that same radar. Go and checkmate and fact check EFCC chairman themselves. How many of them that were caught in this web of relooting monies that were under their coffers? Not their chairman alone, even some officers have been indicted, converting resources, cars, monies and all that. Who is checkmating EFCC itself? Because EFCC itself that is investigating needs a clean house maintenance. The use of corruption from that agency itself based on records. Now EFCC just begin to feign ignorance, as if those that looted under Magu should just go with the money, under the under Bawa should just equally walk away with the loot. They sold thousands of trailers, sheep that were recovered, and there is no record of those properties. A lot of properties, even senior lawyers sometimes were linked to buying properties worth billions for like a paltry sum of millions. So to me, there is a lot of of infractions. Lawyers, police, there's a lot of other gamut that are to me indicted as a result of the whole institution of corruption fighting. So if we are really serious about corruption fighting, let's have a national order that Mr. President must begin to live by example, just as we have under the Diagon era. So the cleanliness that I am talking earlier, that is next to godliness, is our collective responsibility. We need to have patriotic spirit. Those that are going to lead us in politics are so entrenched and engulfed in personal self-aggrandizement rather than our own welfare. So where welfare is not on the table, and people are just going to from local government to state, you see this kind of layers of ladders of corruption. And Mele Kyari is just one out of many millions of corrupt gladiators that we have. So until things are now fact-checked, who are those people lifting our oil and they are drilling and selling the oil and making the money for their own in their private pocket? Do you know that under Mele Kyari, there is no remittance to CBN? Yet we owe money, we are borrowing money in a country that we are supposed to be giving monies to countries. The way Nigeria is being formed with the resources that we have, I don't think our name should even be on the list of countries owing IMF money. IMF should be owing us money because we have the resources. Yet, the same oil that you are talking about, you are billing the citizen through subsidy. Do we really need subsidy for the property that we own, a property that God gave to us? Yet, we are now paying rent and over surcharge on that same property that some people converted price on, that we cannot even have local benefit of these same resources that God gave to us. So to me, we have moral corruption to fight than the financial corruption we are talking about. Leave the moral corruption, rest on EFCC, rest on all looters, that let us have a change of mind.
It's interesting that, well, one can say it's commendable that at least Mele Kyari now is with the EFCC. What happens with him going forward is one conversation, but the fact that at least he's with anti-graft agency is a good place to start from. But that is also a development that raises a concern around how that, are we going to continue to arrest one person after the other without actually addressing the root causes of all of these issues? I mean, you and I will agree, Oladoju, that these are systemic problems. How do we deal with it from the very roots, as against scratching the surface or simply just looking at issues from a superficial standpoint?
Well, the root cause of every issue, what is the root cause? The root cause is the devil in us called human being, that we just converted ourselves to be the only than thou, and everybody seems to just move the other way around. Now corruption have taken a different dynamics. So the dynamic of religion is even more entrenched in corruption now. The dynamics of ethnicity, the dynamics of political sentiment, that is because it's from our party. If you are not in our party, you say no more. Once you cross over, all your sins are forgiven. It's as if corruption has now taken a swipe on our mentality as a country. So it's quite painful, it's quite awful that at this 21st century, when global communities are growing in terms of how much infrastructure that you can lay onto, that is not infrastructure of political campaign, but infrastructure that will benefit the common good of the people. To me, there is a whole lot that we have to really check. And that's why I'm now concerned. Mele Kyari in the net of EFCC is not the height of it all. You begin to see a lot of lawyers now floating their gowns and now coming to defend the indefensible and showing their gravitas that yes, they know it, and they can tell the whole world that Mele Kyari never stole money. All the whole money that was stolen was administrative error. They begin to look for clerical errors, who are co-conspirators, who collected the money. Do you know that in this corruption dragnet, countries of other nations are involved? They are beneficiaries of a stolen property. People will lift oil from this country without any remittance of money. That is stealing. And we must commend the fact that, and that's why I'm more concerned, that a government or President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not looking anybody's face. He told the whole world that he's ready to move. He told the whole world that he's ready to clean the urgent table. And if this is going on, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has taken that lead to appointing the urgent table in pursuit of a lot of policies that can convert NNPC to just a leaking pipe, blocking those pipes and converting it to a commercial venture that we can even lay claims to, that Nigerian citizens can buy shares from and make it a more bigger multinational that will be to the benefit of Nigerians. So to me, I want better commendable benefits. And what are these benefits? That will bring a whole lot of development of our health sector, food and agriculture, every other areas of our national life, regulation agency. NNPC alone, without looking at we keep to fund all the 6 states and FCT without looking, without any governor borrowing money. See alone, getting from NNPC alone, if properly utilized, if there are no leakages of corrupt officials, civil servants. I was listening to the EFCC chairman when he was making analysis of over 33 billion that was stolen. That 3 billion was only linked to the minister, and the 30 billion was just money that are being shared among the layers of directors in the ministry, civil servants. And he mentioned that a lot of houses are linked to civil servants in Asokoro. You don't just make such media pronouncement. Give us data analysis of how these things are being connected to these people. You don't just make over-bloated media praise singing that people should not be drumming because you now say civil servants are part of corruption. Have you arrested? How many civil servants have you arrested? Then arresting them, is there any punitive measure of driving them and sacking them for that place that they reach themselves? For many years, they will still be there. No punitive measure that has been taken against them to remove them or sack them. You are now telling us the whole storyline. To me, Nigerians need seriousness. We are too used to melancholic pre-singing. Enough for pre-singing. Let's get it right. Let the citizens see the truthfulness that will not take us to the Eldorado we are all hoping for. And I believe that we might have been in the dungeon for many years. Let's give an opportunity for this government to make that mark. Yes, he has been giving us some new area of new order of creating the different regional development commission. We only have the NDDC before. And why do we have the NDDC? It's because of this same oil and gas. Now, with other regional development commission, every region should be able to go source for the own resources, bring it to the national coffers, then let us also be redistributed. You cannot get the oil from Niger Delta and now leave the gold in Zamfara for their own private use, while the oil from Niger Delta is converted for national cake. It's not done. It's inequality. So there is a whole lot that, aside from this investigation, I'm only trying to give a general overview. Right. That if you look at the way Nigerians are reacting these days, even the arrests of Mele Kyari did not even gain tractions People are used to arrest and the normal way of going to court and disturbing our daily view. Give us recovery within days. Don't spend money many months. We need all these things to be done appropriately within time.
Before we let you go now, just a final question. What we are doing now has been described by many people as medicine after death, because most times the drill with EFCC cases has been that suspect is apprehended or they turn themselves in. EFCC grills them, asks questions, sometimes lets them off on administrative bail or self-recognizance. Maybe that happens in court, or sometimes they get to court, they get bail, and the rest is history. Like you said, Nigerians move on to other issues and things like that. My question to you is, how do we adopt a pragmatic, proactive, preventive approach to fighting crime instead of, well, for want of better words, waiting for the crime to have been perpetrated and even perfected before we begin to go after the perpetrators themselves?
Well, we have to go the China way. The China way means that from our democracy, sometimes the way our democracy is wired, this kind of is just like garbage in, garbage out. We need to have a whole lot of review of our constitution, and I must get to that level. Do you know that this country is an election-prone country, election-prone. Everything we do that makes sense is all about election, and nothing more. We spend more time from day one. Somebody with the opposition are already campaigning to take over a person. So, if to get right, there's a whole lot of areas that we might need to come up together to rescue from. So the electionary process that we are laying on, that has taken a whole lot of our years, out of 4 years, there is the person spent 1 year to just man that. So if you are to carry out a development, and after that you have to lead, 1 year is only just what you have to deliver. So everything rests on that until we have a review of our constitution, until we have a large number of years, that even if it is for 7 years, 1 term, let us know that we are having a process of development, so that there will not be distraction of those that are led to serve us. We only just get into office and be thinking about the next election instead of commitment to delivering what mandate that has been given to them.
Oh, thank you so very much, Oladotu Hassan, lawyer, public affairs commentator, and President Yoruba Council Worldwide, for coming to help us find perspective and context in this conversation today.
Thank you very much.
We're taking our last break on the program now, everyone. When we return, Ramsey and I will wrap it up on the program for you. To stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
One of the very big events for this week has been the International Day for Preventing Attacks Against Education. And as expected, Nigeria also joined the rest of the world to push this very critical narrative, and is the reason we started now again talking about the Safe School initiative, where schools have to be protected. Because if you can't protect schools, apparently you can't protect education, because that's where it all begins from. In the case of Nigeria, of course, we can't say we're tired of talking about underfunding, but again, it is what it is. It's a problem that has to be tackled today or tomorrow or the day after that. And then you talk about safety of schools. We have heard once or twice in this country in recent years where even parents were apprehensive as to what might happen to their children and wards who are in school and things like that. But it's a good thing to now realize that we're now seeing critical stakeholders coming together. We're now seeing what is often referred to as interagency collaboration in this regard, to say that, look, our schools must be kept safe by all means at all costs, and we must all put our hands on the deck to make that happen. Yes,
of course. The value you give to education determines what your future will look like. Like they will say, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance for once. I think every society that have where they are going to, they don't joke with education.
Right.
Then you come to this part of the world, and number one, you talked about funding, which is major. How equipped? Have you seen pupils sitting on the floor to study in schools? In this 2025 that we are, some schools are still using chalk, blackboard, and duster. Now you leave the school very dirty. What happened to the smart boards that it's been used in advanced world and in some very good private schools where these owners pump in money? One very amazing thing about our educational sector is we know what's happening in the private schools.
Right.
Why don't we replicate the same thing? These are individuals who have put their money in this thing in the form of business and would not want to lose. You know, school just resumed, and I was doing the statistics of where I wanted to change my kids from their school, and I was looking out for school. My wife was checking out for schools, and you can see that each of the school, the more value you put into the school,
right,
the more expensive the school is. You know, and I was thinking, I said, okay, if individuals can do this, why not the government pick the challenge and think of competing with these private schools for once?
I think this point you're raising is going to leave all of us in the ring, because yeah, it's not a good place to be. But again, time will fail us to go further with this conversation. I would like to say a big thank you to everyone who has been a part of the program today. Remember that the views of all our guests are their opinions across all of our programs, including here on Global Morning. I am Uyi Agumofwegbe, again saying we are grateful for your time with us.
And I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Thank you for joining us.